Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lattuce of Pastor Dangote. Yeah, my name is Oyawale, and today I have somebody special on the show, and that is the person of my father, my biological father. That's Pastor Wilson Oyawale. Daddy, you're welcome, sir.
Yeah, God bless you.
Okay, sir. Daddy, can you tell us about this land? How much do you buy this land? And what can you tell us about this land?
Yeah, talking about this land, I will say it is God's provision. Initially, I bought it from one per Sam Olaleye at the rate of 50 naira per plot. But yes, and the total sum paid to that man was 300 naira.
Wow.
Along the line, there was legal tussle over the land. There was one Adebusi who challenged the right of Sam Olaleye
Wow.
to sell this land. So by the time there was a court case over the matter, what I did was that I gave 10, uh, 10 I gave 100 naira to Shambaleye to support his effort. Then again, I went to the opposition party, that's Labusi. I gave him 100 naira, unknown to both of them, thinking that whoever was able to win the case, okay, he or she, they will favor me in terms of getting the land back.
Wow.
Yes.
So in short, 50 naira per plot.
Yes.
So how many years ago was that?
That was 1974. 1974.
Okay, sir, I can see that after your retirement from the College of Education Ikere, you returned to your passion, agriculture. So from your time planting, nursing cocoa seedlings, palm seedlings, can you tell us, has it benefited you in any way? Have you made some money? What can you tell us?
Yeah, about my private practice as a horticulturist.
Yes.
I can say that I give glory to God because I make some kind of a reasonable returns from my effort. For instance, I used to nurse cocoa, I used to nurse palm season, then I used to coffee, cashew, and many other things. And I have customers all over the state.
Wow.
Yes, even up to Osun State, they used to come to buy these things from me. Wow. So I would say that eventually that I gained tremendously from my private practice of agric. In addition to that, the cocoa I planted here in the year, at least I make about 140 or 150,000 on the seed of cocoa, which I plucked and then dry and then sell.
Wow. Wow.
So I make tremendous gain.
Wow, that's interesting. That is apart from the seedlings, from the sales of cocoa seed here too.
Yes.
You were able to make good gains. That's good. That's interesting. Okay, sir. There was a story you shared with me this morning, and I've never heard it all these years. You said you are an examination officer.
Yes.
In the then Ondo State College of Education, yes, Ikere Ekiti, and you had to, please, can you tell us, you had to travel to UI, where you graduated from, and please tell us your encounter.
By the time I was the examinations officer of the College of Education, I experienced a lot of difficulties, but God in His mercy was able to see me through. On one occasion, one man, a head of department, showed the examination questions to one of the students. So it became a serious matter. It was taken to Ondo State House of Assembly to the extent that it took us about 3 months to settle that matter. The head of department, who gave raw question paper questions to one of the students, not knowing that the student will even reveal the thing to other guests in the department. So, but unfortunately, the man disowned the fact that it was he who revealed the secret, that it was he who revealed something. But because the examination question paper, raw examination paper, were submitted to my office for onward printing at the University of Ibadan. Okay, the man added that it was by the time the thing was in my custody that I reduced the question something to the students. Yes, it was a great life. So there was on that basis there was a tribunal set up to prove the matter because it's a very serious academic offense. So But on the other hand, by the time I was about to print the examination question papers, the college had not settled down properly, so we didn't have printing materials. So I told my boss that, well, I was an old student of University of Ibadan UI, and that I could take all the question papers there for printing. It took me about 2 weeks there, with the printing press of the University of Ibadan. So at the end of the day, by the time I was returning home, so I got to Itala, which was about 6 kilometers from Ilobi. This was about 7 p.m. in the evening. And an idea came to me that if I had to continue my journey from Ondo to Ikere,
Okay.
there could be robbers could easily attack me. So I decided to come home.
Because you said those question papers were like mints, newly printed.
The printed examination papers were already in bundles. So I thought that some thieves might
Yeah.
think that it was money. So then the idea came to me that I had to come home to see my mother, and then the following morning to take off. But incidentally, as I came to the, instead for me to go to my parents' home, I went straight to CC headquarters, where there I met elders praying about thanking God for approving for government approval of secondary school for them, but they were at a crossroad as to how to get the materials for the takeoff. So there and then they didn't see me. I was at the gate. They closed their eyes. They were praying. Immediately, God touched my spirit, my heart, that I should release the 2,500 blocks which I had on my plot, on my land here.
For on this land here.
Yes.
Wow.
To the church. So I said hallelujah, hallelujah. Hey, they were very happy. In those days, the type of rapport in the church is quite different from what is today. Because in those days, we saw each other as if we belonged to the same parents. So what happened was that they jubilated at the news, and then the DS then, one P.O. Alayo, was so happy to the extent that took me to a private room to pray for me. So that's all. And incidentally, if you look at the whole scenario, you discover that the little token I gave to the church then yields some dividends, because here now in the house we have a modern building, we have borehole, we have 2 wells that don't dry up anytime, and we have other facilities which human beings can enjoy. So I believe that this is just
Wow.
a gain which
Yeah.
I received from God
Yeah.
for that little contribution
Yeah.
to the academic success of the church.
Yeah. Excellent. Meaning that when you give to God, you
Yes,
have not lost anything, because God will reward you
yes,
tremendously, and that's
yes,
what has happened
yes.
to him.
Because in Jesus Christ, in Luke chapter 6, verse 38, it says, "Give and it shall be
Yeah.
given unto thee."
Yes.
So I adopted that philosophy, and it has yielded me a lot of dividends.
Okay, now I want to say something. Actually, I actually got to Pastor Apostle Wale Oladinu of Christ Spring Apostolic Ministry. That's where I worship. That's my father in the Lord. He mentioned that he knew you then when you were still a youth. He was younger then, so I can't remember exactly, but he mentioned your activity then in the CAC church then. So I just want you to say a little bit.
Yeah, in those days, the church looked like a family, because the population of the church was so small, to the extent that we didn't have branches anywhere.
Wow.
So, but later we expanded to the district. So in those days, all the youth in the church were as brothers and sisters, and I happen to be, I can be regarded as a youth leader over some young people around the place, like Oladino, like one Oyi, which I think his daughter, I can't remember the something now. So a good number of us. So we are in the church, including my cousin, Pastor
Adepoju.
Adepoju. So we were active youth in the church.
Yeah.
To the extent that younger generation imitated us then.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, please. Again, you used to tell us about spiritual attacks, as if then people should not return back to the village. People have traveled abroad. They have the fear that Actually, you actually told us about attacks in the dream, bad people using dark powers to attack, to kill, and sometimes if
Yes.
you don't belong to them.
Yes.
So, how do you overcome? What can you now say?
Yeah.
Compare when comparing that time, that age, to what we have in this our modern days, present days. Any difference?
Yeah. In those days, I will confirm that Satan had a field day over everybody, including church members, to the extent that the first Sunday I was at a father teacher training, I was about being kidnapped by robbers.
Kidnapper.
To the extent that I succeeded in escaping from these people. So and again, at a certain stage, when I was there to as an evidence that there were some spiritual attacks, at a certain stage, I found it difficult to concentrate on my studies. In spite of all these things, the first examinations they conducted for us at Fanadaye, I came second out of about 76 of us. So that is to show that God, in His mercy, is a God that is distant.
Yeah.
So, and again, apart from that, there are there are a lot of spiritual attacks because some old people which use their secret their magic and so on to to compare that period with this period. I will say that we will have a lot of changes in that the light of Jesus Christ is all over the place.
Wow.
And
Hallelujah.
people now take Christianity as a serious business because they know that it is a way of escaping the machination of the devil.
Yeah.
So I will say that in those days, the terror of witches and wizards and then people in secret courts over Christians was high, but now the whole thing has been watered down by
Hallelujah.
our constant prayers and then belief in Jesus Christ.
Yes, in our church, Christ Living Spirit Apostolic Ministry Clan, we do have Iloluji for Christ crusade on a yearly basis. So that church is now what we have everywhere. So the name of Jesus Christ, God is not afraid of any dark powers any longer. All right, one more thing. When you are working at Ondo State College of Education, then you said you were attacked at the time when you were and when there was a kind of saga of retrenchment and people felt you were behind their retrenchment.
Their ordeal.
Okay, sir.
What happened was that at a certain stage, the college had a lot of problems with the administration. Government itself and then the governing council had problems with the administration. When we say administration, what we mean is that the provost, the registrar, all the principal officers, they were accused of maladministration to the extent that there was government action to bring in somebody from outside, one Professor Olutoye, to be the administrator of the college. So by the time he came, unfortunately, there was no rapport between the registrar and then the new administrator. So because she had the mind that she was a party to the administration.
So what happened? What happened?
Okay, now what happened was that I was given instruction to look into the records. So officers who were 10 years in the service, above 10 years in the service, and then who had query in their file because I kept their their personal files, private, confidential files in my office. So I will compile this as instructed by my boss. So now, by the time this was compiled, then the administrator then will go through and then you will sanction some people who were to go, then people who were to return. But incidentally, some people thought that I was behind their ordeal because they knew I was the examination, I was the establishment officer. An establishment officer is an officer who is in charge of the staff welfare, their appointment, recruitment, punishment, discipline, and so on. So some people thought I was behind them, but they are dead. So they went all over, to kill me if possible. But God just saved my life. Occasionally, I will have something like a sound on the roof of my private
Stones.
stone, or the roof of my private building accommodation. So I will send my children to go and call our evangelist, our pastor, to pray and pray and pray for me. But at the end of the day, God was able to be on our side and He saw us through with true justice.
I'm reminded. You mentioned one man, Mr. Ashampong, from Ghana.
No, during that period, there was one person in the French department. He was one of the people who were retrenched. So he thought that I was behind his audit. So he went to one mountain, praying, cursing me, mentioning my name. Oyawale, Oyawale, Oyawale. But there was one Ghanaian, who was in the music department. He had a small farm around that place. So the man was shocked that how could somebody be cursing an officer like me? So the officer cursing me had already been restrained, so he was no longer part of the college. So the other officer now, that is other lecturer, this is Achampong Ghana. Okay, had when this man was cursing me, so he was thinking that one day I will just fall down and die. He was thinking one day I will just fall down and then the people will just bury me like that. But after studying me, watching me for about 3 years, it saw nothing happen to me. He really realized that I was even growing from strength to strength. Then he had to approach me. I said, "How Oyade, you are a wonderful man. What happened?" He related the whole thing to me. I said, "It's not my work. It's the work of God. It is by God's grace that I survived." So that is just it.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. We really had a wonderful time discussing with you. Any word of encouragement to young girl people like myself? Any word of maybe word of prayer, something that you want to say to them?
My own advice to young people around is that first, in your daily work, try to, as much as possible, be honest. Try to be efficient, because by the time you are honest and efficient, it will be very, very difficult for your bosses, to hate you. They will want to promote you at all costs. Then again, you have to be true to yourself, and realizing that I have a family and a name to defend. So by the time you are able to do this, then you have to again rely on the power of God,
Yeah.
because Jesus Christ is the only one that can save human beings from the attacks of these devilish people.
Yeah.
So we advise young people to rely on God, to be prayerful, to occasionally to fast. Because in those days, every Friday I used to fast. You should still remember, every Friday I used to fast. And I encourage my children to fast. And that has been very helpful to me, because there's a lot of gain in the efficacy of prayers, which I benefited from. That is it.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. This is Olakunle Oyawale, aka Pastor Dangote. Please subscribe to this channel. I'll continue to show you more videos. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye bye.